Nina, a beautiful young child at the age of 9, lives in the streets. She grew up not having a home or people to call family. Every day, Nina walks around the streets with her street friend named Amaka, toiling for food. They did everything together, and most times they help people in their homes or shops to get food to eat. And at night, they would look for somewhere to sleep. And that was how it was for them until one day. As usual, they were running around the streets, hunting for food when a car almost hit Amaka. Amaka was 7 years old and 2 years younger than Nina. So Nina was just like an elder sister to Amaka. When Amaka got almost hit, the woman who almost hit her quickly rushed down from her car and was angry at Amaka. She scolded her for running like that and for also implicating her. And immediately, the two just knelt down and apologized. Then, the woman said to them that she would love to see her parents, especially her mother, and questioned her for leaving her children out like that. And when they told her they didn't have any, she got shocked. She contemplated for a while and she concluded that she'd take them after giving them conditions that would work for her in her home. So they agreed. Then the woman, Kemi, took the girls to her home and gave them a room. And the children were excited and they thanked her. And Kemi smiled. Then she told them to rest and that they would resume work the next day. The next day, when Mrs. Kemi went to their room to wake them up, she discovered they were already up. So she told them to freshen up. She gave them some of her clothes to wear, and at evening, she went shopping for them. That day, Nina and Amaka cleaned half of the entire mansion, and when they were weak, they were given food to eat. Day by day, they did all the house chores. They cleaned the house and did everything necessary. Some weeks later, they were taught how to cook, and ever since then, they did all the cookings and would cook day and night. But they never complained because they knew it was better than to be in the streets. So they did all that they were told to do. 1 week passed, Mr. Chinedu returned home from France. He was the husband of Kemi, who is also known as Mrs. Chinedu. When Mr. Chinedu returned home, he wasn't surprised to see the girls because his wife had already informed him about them. The girls greeted him and welcomed him, and he gave them a bag which contained some beautiful gifts. So they thanked him and they were full of joy. Mrs. Chinedu loved the girls, but of course, she didn't stop herself from allowing them work day and night. One day, a friend of Kemi visited her. Her name was Linda. She was a single woman and was happy to meet the kids. Kemi explained how she met them and how long they had worked for her. It's close to 3 months, she said, and Linda was shocked. After some hours, Linda spent there. She got interested in one of the girls and decided to adopt her. She spoke to Kemi about it, and at last, she took Amaka and adopted her. You don't have a mother, she said to Amaka, who didn't want to leave Nina, but was told that she would visit Nina often. They told her of the many privileges she would have in having a mother. So she got excited and went to Linda. After also listening to Nina, who forced a smile and agreed that she should go. So Amaka left with Linda, and finally, she had a mom. Linda loved her so much and took her as her home, while Nina continued working for Mr. and Mrs. Kemi. A week later, Linda brought Amaka over to see Nina, and she was looking all beautiful. Nina was so happy to see her. She admired her over and over again, and that was the last time she ever saw Amaka. Because after that day, Linda flew her to Spain to start a new life with her. Whenever Nina asked after her, Kemi would only keep telling her next week. And it took 2 months later, but Nina didn't see her only friend. And sometimes she would cry bitterly. But of course, Kemi still told her to do her house chores perfectly. After a year of Nina working with Kemi, one day she was in the kitchen mopping the floor when Kemi barged in and asked her where her ring made of pure gold was. And when Nina told her she didn't have any idea where it was, she got a resounding slap and was pushed to the ground. Maybe that was why your parents abandoned you to the streets, because you are a thief, Kemi said angrily to Nina. And Nina began to cry. Then she threatened to get her arrested if she didn't speak up. But Nina kept saying that was the truth. Mr. Chinedu tried calming Kemi and asking her to check her wound well, but she got more angry at her husband for defending Nina. So she dragged Nina out to her car and drove to the police station. When they got there, she reported the case, but the officers refused to arrest her according to the law since she was still underage. But Kemi tried to convince the officers, telling them that if she takes Nina back home, she will steal more, and she accused Nina of being a regular thief. So the officers agreed to keep her in a room for 2 days. Nina cried and cried, begging Mrs. Kemi and the officers, but no one listened to her. Mrs. Kemi turned deaf ears and drove off. That night, Mrs. Kemi slept in her room without even thinking of Nina. And the next morning, when she got up from bed, she found her ring under her bed while trying to bring out her slippers. She got shocked at her sight and immediately she headed to her car to pick Nina up. On her way to the station, she received a call from the police station that Nina was rushed to the close-by hospital. So immediately, she rushed to the hospital with tears in her eyes. And when she got there, she saw Nina lying helplessly and she cried bitterly. She regretted her actions and realized how hard she had been on the motherless child over the years. When the doctor walked in, he explained Nina's condition and told Kemi that Nina needed some blood donation. Kemi volunteered to donate hers, so the doctor quickly took her blood to run some tests if the blood matches, and luckily it did. So the transfer got successful. A few minutes later, the doctor walked to her. "Are you aware she's your child?" The doctor asked her and told her that he didn't only run a blood test but also a DNA test. He told her that according to the information he received from the individual who brought Nina, he was told that Nina didn't have parents. But immediately he saw Kemi, his hunch told him to run a DNA test to confirm, and his hunch was correct. she is your child, he confirmed to her. Then he showed her the results and she confirmed it. It can't be, she said in shocked and in tears. And with that, her husband rushed in and she broke the news to him. Turns out Nina was their only child who was kidnapped on her 2 years birthday party. And ever since then, their parents didn't know of her whereabouts after several efforts of searching. And now that she finally found her, she couldn't help but cry. She cried and cried endlessly after remembering some of her hard actions towards the child. She wished she could go back in time, but she couldn't. 3 hours later, Nina was awake and was shocked to see Kemi by her side, crying endlessly. She wanted to know what the matter was, but Kemi only hugged her and kept apologizing to her. And after some time, she got dismissed. 2 days later, the truth was revealed to Nina and she was shocked. She couldn't believe her ears because the news seemed to be too heavy. But a week later, she got used to it. After 1 year, Mr. Chinedu moved to Ethiopia with his family.